It's 7 o'clock on a Friday. No, not Friday, Tuesday night. And where else would I be but here with you? DJ Stutz here with Little Hearts Academy and Imperfect Heroes podcast. And I just finished our second live for the week on our 5 days of kindness challenge. And that's been so much fun to work with and to think about different aspects of kindness. And so pretty cool, pretty cool. Today we are talking about faith and family. And before I kind of get started on that, I would really love it if you would do a couple of things for me. If you're not following me yet, please follow. And would you share with a friend? Just share the video and then go to the podcast and listen to the podcast. And of course, rate and review if you want to, but really most importantly, share with a friend. And with any podcast that you love, how they work with the analytics is by how many downloads. And I think most of us, until I learned this, I did it too, just stream our podcast, but they don't get credit in the analytics unless it's downloaded. So if you download it, and then when you're done, just, delete it from your phone so it's not taking up a lot of space on your in your memory. There you go. And Bob's your uncle. And we can maybe help us grow a little more, a little faster, and that would be so appreciated. All right. So this week is episode 90. Can you believe it? 90. And so it ends with a zero. So of course, who's coming to be with us is Bailey Olsen. And she's just amazing. And so at the first part of the episode, we were able to get caught up on some of the things that are going on in her life. As you know, she is the busy mom of two kids. She teaches, she has a second, third grade split class that she does, and it's in a hybrid school, a hybrid program where kids are actually, we call them butts in seats, but they're butts in seats on 2 days a week, and then they have homeschooling assignments and stuff. So if you're thinking, and she says that there's these kinds of programs that are available all over. They're called different things, but if you're interested, and I know that faith really can take a big step in the decision to homeschool or not. And so if you're moving forward with, prayer and you have decided that this is the route that you want to take, but you're not sure, you're a little nervous about it. Sometimes a hybrid program that's like that, it gives you direction. You still got contact with teachers, but you're on top of everything that the kids are learning. So 3 days there with you and 2 days there at school. And it's pretty cool. It's a good thing. So just some of those updates are there. You'll get more information about that in the podcast because so often that's a faithful decision on whether you're going to homeschool your kiddos or not. And then we talked a lot just about the role that faith plays. And we were open to all kinds of faith, whether it was, Muslim, Hindu, Christian, Jewish, and anything else in between, really, that um, faith, wherever it comes from, for you and your family, that belief in something bigger and stronger and able to, we are responsible to them and they are responsible for us in many ways. But what does that role play in your family? Excuse me, we just had dinner. And so what does that role play in your family? And then what are the benefits? What are the challenges of raising a family in faith? Now, I grew up in a family that was interesting. So there were seven of us if you've listened for very long. And we went to church. My parents were leaders within the church in a variety of things. My mom with the women's group, she was really into that. And then she also did a lot of work with the teenagers and the youth and all of that. And then and my dad was always in the leadership of the congregation as well, helped make decisions about what we were doing and the things that we would be involved in. But um, we had um, we had a pretty rocky marriage. uh, we had an interesting time growing up with all of that. And so there was that pull of, yes, we're faithful, we believe in Jesus, we love God with all our hearts, we listen to the Holy Ghost, the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost, the whole thing. And then on the other side, we would come home and our parents were arguing and yelling at each other. And my mom, not my dad, but my mom would like physically walk on us pretty bad, sometimes with an electric cord. And so how did this all work together? And I think that there are a lot of people who have those kinds of questions where um, there seems to be a hypocrisy almost of people who are of faith and but then have these failings, right? And so we talk about that. We talk about the things of being able to feel the Spirit, and as a parent, having that in our lives and feeling the Spirit, recognizing the Spirit, and then acting upon the things that um, we are being told by the Spirit, and how that affects us in so many different ways, including safety, the safety of our children. We talked about episodes where um, the Spirit spoke to us and we acted on that, and our children were safer because of us acting on that. And so you'll get to hear some of those things as well. And then what does that mean for our children? And what does it mean as our children grow and they begin to have their own ideas, and they may or may not follow you in faith, or they might find a different faith that probably speaks to them a little better. What does that mean and mean in your family? We talk about that as well. So I really just am hopeful that you will listen to the podcast. So remember, it's episode 90 with Bailey Olsen, and I think it's just called Family, Faith and Family or something like that. But it's a really good episode, and I think that I know that it will get you thinking and start asking questions and assessing where you are, and is that where you want to be? And finding patience and openness, and I hate to say tolerance because nobody wants to be tolerated, right? It's just so negative. But acceptance and interest. I was talking to my oldest daughter today. We're at her house. You might hear some family sounds in the background. But we were talking about, I'm not someone who would like to meet um, the Hollywood people that I enjoy watching them on the screen, and they're beautiful or handsome, and they're great at their art of acting and stuff. But I have had a chance growing up in Los Angeles to meet a few, and most of the time was very disappointed in their behavior and who they were. Yeah, it was just disappointing. And so generally, I have this thing of I don't want to meet anybody that I really like, whether it's in music or anywhere in the world of entertainment. But one person that I think I would really like to meet, and was talking to my daughter about that, was Morgan Freeman. And he just seems not only interesting, but interested in the things of the world and people. And I just don't see him as being uh, judgmental, arrogant guy. I hope I'm right. But some of the things that he's done, that series on God, was really, really interesting. But the coolest part for me was his openness, and not to say, well, you shouldn't believe that, or this is ridiculous, but it was like, oh, okay, how'd you get there, and where does that come from, and What's the history of it? And I think that that's an important piece when we look at connecting our family and faith. So we don't say, oh, you only play with people who go to our church or who believe the same way that we do. And we find that even in politics, right? Oh, those people are bad. They don't believe the way that we do. Well, it doesn't mean they're bad or good. They just have different beliefs, right? And we can go from there. And I think that as we teach our children to um, follow those first two commandments, to love God with all our heart and to love each other. And I think that if we stay on those two, everything else kind of falls into place, doesn't it? And we come to understand the meaning of the various commandments that are, if you're a Bible believer, well, but in the Quran and in the Torah, and I don't know the names of all of the other religious scriptural things that are out there, but for the most part, I think they talk about, you know, being good to one another and honoring God and I think if you've got those two things going for you, at least in my world, I can work with you. And even if you don't, I've had friends that are atheists or that are different things, and they're amazing people. And so I don't know how it's all going to work out in the end. I have some thoughts, but I think that when we get there, when the time comes, we're going to be surprised. I think we're going to be surprised, but that's okay. I just want to live with a life that is open-hearted and full of love. So I hope you will listen to episode 90 of Imperfect Heroes podcast. I've got the link is on here, but also it's just easy. It's www.imperfectheroespodcast.com. Super easy, and you'll be able to hear all of our episodes on there, all 90. Ah, so exciting. Next week, so this coming Monday, I have a super, super important episode that's coming up, and it's one that I've been working on for months, months, trying to get it all put together and get in contact with the right people. But I feel like this is one of the top ones in importance. Like, really, really listen to that. So his name is Tyson Wright, and he is with Operation Underground Railroad, which is a movement that I am super believe in and appreciate. And so I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. They rescue children and young adults who have been sold into the sex slave, their human trafficking. So we talk about that for a while, but we also are talking about to make your family safe. So we talk about the internet and how predators will go to use that. But we also talk about, because it's kind of hard when you think kids need to run and play. They need to have unsupervised time. How do you do that? And he said, actually, the thing that you want to remember is that most often it is not the stranger danger that is taking our kids. It's usually someone they know, which is super sad. So anyway, we're going to talk about all those things. That's next Monday on Imperfect Heroes podcast. That's going to be episode 91 with Tyson Wright. And so I hope that you'll put that on your calendar and listen in. Before I go, I just want to share one more thing. On Saturday, we are opening our Sister Society. So that's our group coaching that is out there, and it's only going to be open from the 18th to the 27th. So I open it for 10 days, 3 times a year. That's it. So it's not an everyday opportunity that you can just go to. If you want one-on-one coaching, we can always do that, and that's open anytime. It is not open all the time. So think about that. We'll give you more information, and I'll be on here again, I'm sure, before that. We are moving this weekend into our home finally. Yeah, we've been imposing on various children since June 7th, so we are excited. And so this weekend we will be moving and involved in a lot of things. So I hope that you'll be patient, but we will definitely get that information to you. And so until next week, let's find joy in parenting. See you guys.